Welcome to Pulp Mortem. My name is Jake Swick. I'm a writer and avid collector of antique and rare books. Although I enjoy reading and collecting all manner of book, I find that my writing passion is primarily science fiction. So as I immersed myself into the genre, both for research and collecting, I discovered that every antique shop and used bookstore that I visited was practically bursting with novels from the mid-century pulp era. What is the pulp era, you may ask? Well, all paper is made from wood pulp. But in the early 20th century, sophisticated magazines like the New Yorker and Saturday Evening Post were printed on slick, glossy paper, earning them the moniker slicks or glossies, while cheaper, rough paper magazines were called the pulps. The pulps were typically a collection of short, novel-length stories or novellas with an attention-grabbing, sensational cover. There was horror, westerns, fantasy, detective, erotic, and of course, science fiction. The pulps were immensely popular due to one simple fact: they were dirt cheap. World War II severely damaged the magazine industry with a paper shortage, and soon radio and television became the preferred mode of entertainment. The pulp started to fade in prominence, going from hundreds of magazines to just a small handful. But this was also the time of the paperback.
How can you read this? There's no pictures.
And many of the stories first birthed back in those pulps now enjoyed a new lease on life. The influence that Pulp Fiction, not the movie, get out of here, you weirdo, has had on pop culture cannot be overstated. We wouldn't have the superhero archetype without the Shadow, Batman without Zorro and the Phantom, Star Wars without Buck Rogers, Superman without Doc Savage, Indiana Jones without Adventure and Dime Adventure magazines. And the immense popularity of fantasy as we know it today can be traced back to Burroughs' Pellucidar and Robert E. Howard's Conan series. Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, Gene Roddenberry, Quentin Tarantino, and many more directors all list the pulp magazines as inspiration for their styles and their iconic characters.
Why the need for so much gruesome, graphic violence? Why not let us imagine
Because it's so much fun, Jan. Get it?
But perhaps the pulps are best known as being exploitative, low quality, and racy, a reputation well earned. They're called trashy, and many of them, as I'm sure we're going to find out, belong in the trash.
That's crazy!
But without the pulps, science fiction as we know it today simply wouldn't exist. They gave us H.G. Wells, Edgar Rice Burroughs, Isaac Asimov, H.P. Lovecraft, and that's just to name a few of the greats. I'm no expert in the field. I'm just a fan of science fiction. But as my collection continues to grow, I have found some legitimately wonderful pieces of art. The majority of what I've found thus far has been completely unknown to me. These stories from these authors that are just lost in time. And I think perhaps it's possible that there are great works of art, great works of writing, great sources of inspiration that have just been obscured by War of the Worlds and Solaris and Dune and these great masterpieces from the era.
I'm looking from above, but you never know. Doors locked, lights off, keeping my distance, cause my governor wants me to.
Maybe not. Let's find out together.